This game.
That blast zone. Bucks needs a miracle right now. Oh, he read that roll! He read that roll!
And this game.
Perfect. It's set up now. He's still
just
waiting. 13-piece trout. 17-piece trout. There's the low bar. There it is.
Tetris for Joseph. And we have a new Tetris World Champion.
Are a lot more similar than you might think. Now, admittedly, I did not come up with this comparison. I happened to be talking to a local player from Louisiana some of you may know as Rabbit. Known not only for his cracked fox, but also his status as one of the full cast masters. Just this last season, his Zelda boasted a 2-1 game count with Magi. He is a jack of all trades, to say the least. Now, if you know Rabbit, you know that if you ask him how he does any of the things he does in Melee, he'll usually just respond with, I don't know, I just do it. So, it was a little shocking to me when he opened up the hood of his gamer brain and let me get in and understand what he means. Oh yeah, and finally, the last thing you need to know about Rabbit, he's also good at Tetris, like really good. So what's the deal? How does the world's most popular puzzle game relate directly to one of the GOATs of the platform fighting genre? Well, it has to do with Punish Game, and the ability to see the game state before it even happens. Pause. Adust, what's the game state? Well, I'm glad you asked. The game state is just a freeze frame, a snapshot of exactly what is happening on the screen. Usually, a person can only process the game state as fast as it happens. But if you have an understanding of what the game state is going to look like in the future, you can react at inhuman speeds. Okay, so back to Punish Game. When I say Punish Game, I do not mean the Punish Game of an average Melee player. For me, and likely for you if you've played Melee, Punish Game looks a lot more like Punish Game in an average 2D fighter. We both hit the lab, we practice combos, and then we try to replicate those combos in a real match. But for people like Rabbit, I promise you, he has never practiced something like this. Or this.
Take you right back to birth, and niggas wonder why. They might wonder why this shit might happen, but it does. It goes.
Or this.
Like a feather in air, letting my soul take me away from the hurt and despair. So I'm keeping it vertical forever, elevator, riding the escalator.
So how does he hit this? He uses the same skills he uses to do this in Tetris. Let's start with the Tetris clip. Rabbit has to have the technical execution to maneuver the piece exactly as it needs to be to fall perfectly into place. This is no different than Melee. If you can't execute the up B cancels, it's not like this combo can ever happen. However, that's not even the most impressive part. On top of the technical skill to spin and move the pieces very quickly, he needs to know exactly where the piece is going the first millisecond the piece is on screen. But how is that possible? How can he already be moving the piece into the perfect position the second it comes into frame on the screen? Well, if you've played Tetris before, you would know that it's because, as he was moving the last piece into place, he briefly glanced right over here and made a mental note of exactly what piece was coming next. With this in mind, and his instant processing of the game state, and his knowledge of the future game state, he can begin to maneuver the piece perfectly as it falls onto screen again and again and again. Now, I know this is kind of obvious, and if you've ever played Tetris before, you would already know what's happening here. But it gets kind of interesting when you think about Melee Punish Game. When an average mid-level player breaks out their Falco and works on their combos, they're essentially lining up their pieces, or moves, in a certain order that they know they will expect. It removes the challenge of glancing over at which piece is coming next, and adapting that piece to the game state. Because the player knows after dare comes shine, and after shine comes dare, and so on and so forth. In essence, they are learning a more traditional combo from a more traditional fighting game like Strive or Street Fighter. Once they land a hit, They know the inputs and the order that they come in. They may just have to react slightly to DI. But again, this was clearly not a planned or practiced sequence. To hit this, a player like Rabbit has to look at the combo game not as a traditional fighter, not as a sequence of inputs memorized months before and regurgitated on the spot, but as a game of Tetris, where any move might come next, and you need to know exactly how that move is going to react with the game state, and, most importantly, keeping in mind what the end goal is. Anyone who knows just a little bit about Tetris knows that the big goal, the way to score the most points, is to wait for all the columns to fill except for one, and then drop one of these big bar pieces into a single empty column. This goal defines how any player wants to stack their pieces before delivering that final blow. The same could be said for Melee, but the goal is to kill the opponent rather than a 4-row clear. In this clip, Rabbit hits this fair, and he already knows how this fair is going to change the game state. He has an image in his mind of exactly, of course within reason accounting for DI, what the game state is going to look like after the fair. And knowing this, and knowing the Falcon's percent is too low for up smash, he makes the decision that the perfect next piece, the move he needs to set up for that 4-row clear, is another fair. He immediately executes and cleans up this mind-blowing stock. Now, Rabbit's good and all, but let's talk about a really good player, Mango. This combo from Mango has over 170,000 views. And after you see it, all you can really ask is, how does he see the game so differently? What is immediately obvious is that he has not practiced this combo before. But let's run that back with our new vision, our Tetris vision. So right off the bat, this combo is already a little offbeat. Mango opens up with a running shine, not unheard of with Falco, but a rare start nonetheless. There's no clear follow-up here, but Mango is acutely aware of the game state, and he knows he at least has time to sneak in a full hop fair, which he launches immediately. This works perfectly, and he is able to shield the reversal attempt from Marth. And now the real fun begins. Mango hits a down air up tilt, pretty standard, but this is where most Falcos would just do another full hop down air exactly as they've always practiced, but Mango knows that dare is not going to cut it. He knows exactly where Marth is going to be because of his understanding of the future game state after the up tilt, and he's already taking steps to perfectly position himself for this follow-up with this very sneaky little double jump. After yet another up air up tilt, Mango makes sure to hit Marth with a weak down air, the perfect piece he needs to ensure that he gets to the ground fast enough to keep the string going, but he still needs that elusive 4-row clear. After a strong dare, he hits the perfect auto-cancel bear. It is so important to note that he chose the auto-cancel bear in this spot because he knew it was exactly the piece he needed. A normal bear would have had too much end lag to allow him to get the dash full hop down air he needed for the finisher. It's this kind of mastery of the engine, the true understanding of Melee's pieces, and not only how they fit together, but how each piece is going to affect the future game state that allows these kind of combos and this level of play. Maybe this whole time you've been saying, of course it does, this is Melee, not Street Fighter, are you an idiot? And hey, look, maybe I am. But I found this to be a very informative and interesting way to examine how top players do their combos, and I hope you did too. Maybe next time, you won't ask, how does he see the game so differently? You'll say, ooh, that's a Tetris combo. I mean, you probably won't, but I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you liked it, feel free to subscribe. Surely I'll post again in the future. Right? Right?